Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tarda Zone. This is the Tarda Zone Talks. I hope you're all doing well on this fine morning. I'm saying morning because it's 11:59. As soon as it hits 12, obviously, we're going into the afternoon. So I can officially say it's morning. Um, so yeah, we've got some. I've got an article that I want to discuss with you because I read this article. Oh, hold on. Right, that's sorted. Um, I read this article last night in relation to Doctor Who. Now, there's been a couple of articles released over the last couple of days talking about Doctor Who's future, or that's what you think the article is actually talking about. But when you go in and you actually read the article, I have to say that these articles are a little bit misleading. Now, just before I start this video, I just want to make it clear that I'm giving my opinion on this article and what I find interesting about this article. Now, if there's any other Who tubers out there that apparently cover Doctor Who news, right, or Doctor Who rumors, want to discuss this, you're free to discuss this in terms of discussing it and giving your point of view, but not attacking me for my point of view. And another thing as well, nobody is stopping anybody from doing Doctor Who news out there. I don't know where you're getting that from. And I also want you not to be doing videos about me or any of my friends, but you continue to do that, even though, like, I proved and showed to everybody what type of person you are. You're calling us dregs of society, yet you threaten to fuck me up and find me family. You don't have a leg to stand on. Now, you said you're going to stop, and you better stop, because I'm giving you a week to actually shut your mouth. If you don't shut your mouth after the week is gone, you still continue to behave the way you behave, and then I'm going further about it, like I said, and I have plenty of evidence. And by the way, this bullshit that you're coming out with, well, you're not going to talk about me on your channel, so therefore I'm cancelled. I'm not cancelled. You'll never cancel me. And stop talking in terms of a teenager. You're a grown-ass man. Grow the fuck up. All right? You were told. You're not going to be told again. Right? Keep my name. And by the way, just one more thing. You're saying you're 100% Italian. A few years back, and I have the video, by the way, where you're slagging me off and slagging me Irish accent off, and you said it's fine because you had a bit of Irish in you, but now you're claiming to be 100% Italian. Make up your fucking mind. See, you forget that everybody's built up evidence against you over the last few years, right? And the evidence is overwhelming, right? And people will see when they compare the stuff that you've said and I've said on my channel is a retaliation to what you said. You're still not getting what I said here. You keep my name out of your mouth, right? See, you think by calling me the Irishman or mentioning me on our channel, right, that you're being smart. You're still mentioning me. I told you not to fucking talk about me, right? You threatened my family and threatened me. You don't get to come back from this, right? Last night you went after Gobster. You went after Lee, right? And I mentioned Charlotte last night in a message in a thing on X, and you went, "Oh, leave her out of it." You shouldn't have brought her in the first place and picked on her in the first place. And I was only mentioning the fact of how many people you've bullied throughout this whole situation, and the list continues to grow because you're picking on other people. You don't seem to get it. I don't know if there's anybody in your gaff that's telling you what you're doing, you're wrong, but they should be telling you. Right? Now, you keep my name, and another thing as well, I don't care if you disagree with people in my chat. Don't be talking about them. Right? That's my audience. Don't talk about my audience. Don't talk about my friends. I told you that already. Right? And by the way, Gobster has more fucking integrity in his little fucking finger than you have in your whole body. Imagine going after a veteran. That's how low you're sinking. Threatening my family is not good enough. Now you're saying that you're going to go over to Gobster's gaff and all of this other rubbish. You've got a week, man, to shut your fucking mouth. I've got plenty of evidence, right? You bullying me over the years. I think you forget as well of all the old videos that I did of you back in the day, of all the screenshots on Twitter, as it was called back then, of all the abuse you were hurling my way. I think you forget all of that. I still have all of that. I never got rid of all of that. That's still all there. I have all of that evidence, man. You want to go down this route? I told you to continue the way you're going. If you don't want that to happen legally to your channel, well then shut the fuck up. I'm not playing this game with you, right? Calling us dregs of society after what you've said. You've got to, I don't know what delusional world you're living in. Seriously, I don't know what's going on around you, right? Or why the people around you are not saying you need to stop. You're going too far. You're not even fucking listening, you know. And you better start listening, man. Right? I told you already. Right? He thinks because he doesn't mention me by name now, he thinks he's being a smart arse, and he thinks by picking on other people, I will leave him alone because he's picking on other people. I'm not going to leave you alone. They're friends of mine. Stop attacking them. Right? The list keeps getting bigger. You keep talking about this legion and all of this other shit that people are ganging up against you. All of those people you've attacked, and now you have the cheek to have a go. I think you forget your behavior over the last few years since we've all known you. Everybody has plenty of evidence. Anyway, you got your 4 minutes there. You're not getting any more time on this channel now. I'm moving to business. Important business as well. Right. So before I read this article, I want to give you a bit of my opinion here. So do you remember when Bad Wolf Studios put out that post? Do you remember? And then we had people in the Doctor Who fandom trying to spin it and defend it. Do you remember they talked about Doctor Who in the past and said it was great. We had Doctor Who there. We're renting out the studios and all of that. And I found that very interesting because they were talking about Doctor Who in the past tense. Now, the articles that have come out are suggesting that when they spoke to one of the producers of the show, Doctor Who's future was safe, right? But when you actually read the article, right, and the wording of it, and there's a particular line that I'm going to, when I read it, you will probably think the same thing that I thought last night. And this is why I want to do this article, because I find this very interesting. And if I was reading between the lines, and as I said, I'm only giving my opinion here, right? But if I'm reading between the lines, what I'm getting from this article is that these people haven't got the first fucking clue what's going on with Doctor Who's future. They're bigging it up all right, and they're saying the right things, but when you read between the lines, I think there's something going on. And I will read the article now. I'll give you my opinion as I'm reading it, of course. I did put it in my chat on X. For anybody that's in my chat on X, you know who you are. It's in there. If you want to read the article, yourselves, you can have a look and see if you guess why I'm intrigued by this whole thing. So this article was released. Where's the date? Normally, the 12th of February. So that was 3 days ago. 5 p.m. So this went over my head because we were dealing with other shit in the fandom, but back to focus now. And the title of this article is BBC Studios on the future and priorities for the Doctor Who brand. Now, you would think by reading that headline, when you proceed to read the article, they're actually talking about Doctor Who's future and we have a clearer idea if the show is going to get commissioned for a third season. To me, this article gives us more questions than answers, right? Now, that's my opinion. Now, as I said, if you want to cover this article, you cover it and you give your opinion on it. You don't attack people for having their opinion, because this is my opinion. Anyway, I'm sorry I have to say that in 2025. You think in 2025 people would know the difference between someone giving their opinion and someone saying it's fact and whatever. You know what I mean? But you get what I'm saying. Right, so Louise wrote this article, and I have to say, Louise, I mean, it's not much of an article. Jesus, I mean, you've, as I said, more questions than answers. As Doctor Who's modern era approaches its 20th anniversary, all eyes are on the future of the show and what it will look like. There is no doubt there's an interesting time for the iconic sci-fi series as we approach the shoot. That was anticipated, it's highly anticipated second season. I don't think it's highly anticipated. You just have to look at social media activity on Doctor Who. It's dead as a doornail. Like, you'll get the odd spurt here and there when they put something up, but other than that, it's dead. Nobody's talking about Doctor Who except the ones, us and other people out there that have YouTube channels, I suppose, and the odd post on X, because, you know, you have to be precise nowadays because you get called out. So following a run that has its eyes on the world on it thanks to the lucrative deal with Disney, right? But how do the powers that be feel about the fourth season of the show soft reboot went? What impact has the Disney budget actually had on the show, and how would the response to debates about the show's success? Right now, so far you'd say, yeah, they're good questions to ask. Brilliant. That this article sounds like it's going to be very interesting, that it's going to finally give us the answers that we've been looking for. But it doesn't. It goes nowhere. She asked those questions there at the start of the article, and then we get into this. As the doors open to Doctor Who's prop auction, which is raising money for children in need, open, RadioTimes.com caught up with John Harmer, production executive, and Vanessa Hamilton, brand director, to get their thoughts. Hammer, who represents BBC Studios across the Whoniverse production, looks back on the fourth season of Doctor Who's new era as a huge success, saying it's been brilliant. Of course, we know that it hasn't been a success, and no matter what they say, it hasn't, right? This is why we have the doubts, and this is why season 3 actually hasn't been commissioned yet, because let's get the logic hat on for a second. If season 1 was a resounding success, right, and season 2 was filmed in that block as well, right, they filmed them both together, right, and season 1 was a success, well, then everybody would assume that season 2 was going to be hugely successful because it was filmed around the same time, right? They wouldn't have to wait to make an announcement on the third series and commission it if it was so successful, right? But it's not so successful. They can say what they want, but it just shows the passion for Doctor Who as a brand and as a character in the world. It just keeps going, and it can keep regenerating each time. A cheesy line, but it can, right? So far, no answers to any of the questions that this journalist posed at the very start of the article, right? Keep listening. Each new era of Doctor Who gives us something new and different, and a different take on it. And a different take on the character, and reflects the audience itself, right? Again, still no answer to any of the questions that this journalist posed, right? One big difference is the budget. It's no secret that Doctor Who has had a very welcome injection of cash. So answering that question about the Disney injection of cash, resulting in visuals and scenes that just wouldn't be possible back in the day. I disagree with that, but okay, fair enough. Spin it the way you want. Doctor Who always not struggled, but it's hard to get financial backing to realise writers' vision. Hammer points out. You do your best with what you can. The new budget has elevated that in the sense in that you can create this world a bit more convincingly than 1963. Well, stop banging on about 1963 because there's one difference between 1963 and Doctor Who in the modern era, especially this era, is that Doctor Who in 1963 was well written. It might have had shaky sets and bubble wrap, but listen, see, this is where this person, John, is going wrong. He thinks that Doctor Who fans want the visuals and they want everything to look great. Right? For us as fans, it's always been the writing. Anyway, so I think it's really added to the ambition of it. Well, that'll be argued. And made it a global show, which has always been, but it's given it a chance to reach that bigger audience. Right? So with that amplified reach and budget, what are the brand's priorities for Doctor Who right now? Brand director Hamilton explains, for us, it's celebrating the breadth of Doctor Who and the fact that every day people are learning about it and falling in love with it, and everyone has their own Doctor and their favourite stories, she said. But here's the interesting thing, right? The question was, so with that amplified reach and budget, what are the brand's priorities for Doctor Who right now? And they don't tell us what the priorities are. They talk about the fans and people learning about and falling in love with it, right? So didn't answer that question directly. So anybody with any logical sense would say, well, why didn't you answer that question? So then they go on to say, I've been watching classic Doctor Who in order. What other shows has this long of a shelf life that people will still watch content from the 60s and hop to 2013 and all around? I think for us, it's about celebrating all different ways that people love Doctor Who. So still not answering the question on what the priorities are of the brand moving forward. Starts banging on about the love and how fans love it. Now, to me, and this is just my opinion, right? To me, reading that article so far, I would come to the conclusion that maybe Doctor Who's future is not so certain by the way that this interview is going, because the people that are behind the show have not answered the questions directly, have skirted around it and talked about fan love of the show and other people out there finding the show for the first time or whatever crap they come up with, right? But they're not actually talking about what plan they have got moving forward. It's all very, the fans love it, it'll be celebrated no matter what. But there's a paragraph coming up now, right, which seals the deal for me that Doctor Who's future may be, and I'm speculating, maybe up in the air, and this is why we haven't gotten an announcement, right? So from a brand point of view, that's what we want to lean into, right? That Doctor Who means so many things to so many people, but it's all a bit different. So still not answering the actual question, just talking about fans. There will be some who will always claim that Doctor Who's run its course. As for what she said to that portion of viewership, Hamilton added, now listen to this is it. Doctor Who will always be around in people's hearts and minds and will never go away in that respect. It's been around for 60 years. It'll continue to be around for as long as people love the adventures in time and space. But that line, Doctor Who will always be around in people's hearts and minds. This, guys, is suggesting to me that definitely no decision has been made as of now, right? And they know that. Because this interview is coming across to me as people who haven't got a clue what the show's future holds. Now, of course, they're not going to come out in an interview just in case anybody tries to throw something in there. They're not going to come out in an interview and say, oh, yeah, we're just waiting for Disney. You know, we don't know. We're not really sure about Doctors. They're not going to do that. They're always going to give a little bit of optimism to fans, right? That's the way they do business, right? They'll always, even if they, look at, even when shows have been cancelled in the past, right, you've had people come out, right, and say, yeah, we wish for a long future, all of this, and giving fans hope that it'll happen, and then it transpires, it never happens, right? It's happened before, right? And it can happen again. It's logical, like. Of course, there are millions of fans who still love these adventures, and now they have a chance to own a piece of Doctor Who history while an online auction, which has opened its digital doors. So they go then and quickly then divert to the auction, and then more than 150 lots will be included in the online event, which precedes all costs and auction hours fees. And then they just talk about in the article, which you can actually see as ourselves. They talk about the props, for example, Van Gogh's painting from Vincent and the Doctor will be sold. So these are actually good ones. A Weeping Angel, the 3D glasses that David Tennant wore, and all of this. But that's the article. So when you read the headline of this article, BBC Studios on the future and priorities for the Doctor Who brand. This article is misleading and does not tell us anything about the future of the brand whatsoever. They say what they'd like to do, and they say that fans love it, and it's in fans' hearts and minds. Now, you can go and read that article yourselves if you want. What I'll do also is I will get it and put it in the link description after this stream goes up. But I'm being brutally honest here, right? By listening to those two, they don't know what Doctor Who's future is. And if you've been doing this as long as I have, along with other people, you know that this is not a good sign, right? It's just not a good sign. Now, look, is it possible that Doctor Who could survive without Disney? Yeah, but it'd be very difficult, right? It'd be very difficult for just BBC. They would have to try and get an online distributor to ease the burden a little bit, because financially they're strapped, you know. BBC, no matter what they say about BBC Studios and all, the organisation itself, BBC, is failing, right? People are not paying their TV license. This is all having an effect, right? It's gotten so bad that BBC are actually sending out, because remember we covered this last year. The BBC were sending letters of summons to people, sending them to court, old age pensioners to court over TV license. Like, that's how bad BBC has gotten. Imagine like going after old age pensioners for TV license, like, because the TV license is too expensive, and on top of that, you get shit programming off the BBC. It's not worth it. But that's what I'm saying. But because of that Radio Times article, obviously, when Radio Times does an article, then it breeds other articles, and they're going off the headline of that article and basically telling fans out there that the future of Doctor Who is bright and it's okay, when in reality the article doesn't state that at all. They talk about how they watch Doctor Who. They talked about how fans is in fans' hearts and minds, but never give any concrete answers to any of the questions that were posed at the very start of that article. Now, anybody with a logical brain or a bit of smarts about them would say, yeah, there is something up here, right? There is no way of spinning this. I mean, they don't know what Doctor Who's future is right now, which means if they don't know, RTD doesn't know. So how could anybody else know information that these guys are not privy to? The bottom line is that nobody is privy to that information. Because if the showrunner and the people behind the show can't give fans a straight answer, right? And RTD has also said that no decision will be made until Shooty's second season is at least on screen anyway. So they don't know. And this is the thing, the longer this goes on, you know, the more bullshit you're going to get from people out there. This needs to be resolved now anyway. Right? If it's getting recommissioned, re-fucking commission it. If it's not getting recommissioned, then tell everybody. Why wait? Why wait? Season 2, listen, here's the thing. If Disney are hoping that Season 2 is going to be an improvement on Season 1 ratings-wise, forget about it. Forget about it. It's done. It's dead. This era is dead in the water. Don't care what anybody says. People can have a go at me and say, oh, he doesn't like Doctor Who's not a fan. No, it's the truth. This era is dead. It's dead already. It's dead in the water, just like Whittaker's era was dead in the water. It's dead. So what's the point of renewing it for a third season if it's dead? Make the same mistakes that Chips did? Give it a third season? Come on. As I said, if I was Disney and I had that money and I looked at Season 1, right, and then, because obviously Disney would see Season 2, right? They'd see it. They've already seen it. They've seen it. They've probably seen it. Or at least a draft of it anyway. But Disney would have seen that, right? And you think Disney Disney will wait until, look, they'll probably wait to see how fans do react. But I can already tell you, and every YouTuber that's been covering Doctor Who for years will already tell you, this won't recover now. Once the ratings keep going down, which they have, when they started going down with Jodie Whittaker, they continued to go down, right? You got the odd one here or there. You may have got either a slowdown or an uptake on that week, right? But overall, the ratings continued to fall, right? And the ratings have continued to fall during RTD's first era. So this isn't recovering, right? So for people out there that want Doctor Who to continue, fine. I'd love to see it continue and be a success, right? But defending this era and defending the writers and defending RTD, you're not doing anybody any favours there. You got to start being honest with yourselves and look at the situation. It's over for this era. At least RTD is finished with Doctor Who, right? I'm sorry, right? That might actually upset people out there. But the bottom line is, right, when he said he burnt out all those years ago, he was telling the truth. And leaving the show and doing other projects hasn't gotten rid of that burnout, right, for Doctor Who, right? He's still burnt out. His stories are absolutely terrible, for God's sake. The people that he's bringing in are absolutely terrible. And he's making the same mistakes for Season 2. We've already seen the writers, and I don't care what anybody says. They're all activists, so they're going to be terrible. None of these activist writers ever are brilliant. They're never brilliant. That's why Disney is in the state that it's in. So many activist writers. Sure, Snow White or Snow Latina comes out March 21st. Right? That's going to flop hard. That's going to flop hard. Because the writers that were on it were activists Rachel Ziegler herself, right, was coming out with some nonsense. That movie is dead in the water before it even comes out. That's going to be a huge loss for Disney. There's no way that Disney, that Snow White is going to be successful. And they'll spin it, of course, they will. They will try, they'll do it like they've done with other Marvel movies as well, that, because, like, obviously Disney, Marvel. Look, they will spin it like they spend every other thing. They spent millions on that movie, right? They had actors come in, play the Seven Dwarfs, and then something happened, and now they're all CGI, right? Peter Dinklage, because he was getting jealous that other small people were actually getting work in Hollywood, and he wants to be the main man, right? Because we all covered that article as well. We covered that shit on here all those ages ago when Rachel Ziegler, it was a couple of years now, isn't it? It's been going on with them for a couple of years. But this is the thing, right? While Moana 2 or so, wasn't it? Moana 2 they released before Christmas. That made Disney a bit of money, right? It made Disney a bit of money, made their finances look a little bit better than what they would have been if that movie had a flopped. But they have flops on the way. And there's already one in the cinema, right? There's already one in the cinema, this new Captain America movie now. And it's flopping, and it's going to flop hard. It's going to flop hard. We've even heard the stories of the reshoots and everything. That movie has been reshot so many times, re-edited so many times, and even people said that have seen the movie said it shows. So they have another flop on their hands. And you've got to remember, Disney is about making money. So why would they throw money at a failing Doctor Who? Again, though, I want to make it clear, I'm not saying Doctor Who is cancelled, right? What I'm saying is, if I were Disney, I wouldn't be giving any more money to Doctor Who. Doesn't mean that Doctor Who can't survive without Disney. As I said, it'd be very difficult for the BBC. But Doctor Who could live beyond the Disney deal. They just have to go back to smaller budgets again. And then, see, that's why they don't want to do it. That's why they're so desperate, right, to keep this Disney deal, right? Because you heard it even in the interview there. They talk about visuals. They talk about things that they couldn't do before, but that's not what interests Doctor Who fans, right? It's the storytelling. It's the character development. It's the fucking plots and subplots. Everything that makes Doctor Who Doctor Who. We don't care about visuals. We don't care if Doctor Who looks as good as Star Wars. We don't give a shit. We just want good stories. And if you actually spent the money on decent fucking talent, you wouldn't have to bring in the likes of Juno fucking Dawson and that other nutcase from Nigeria. I'm telling you, right? I'm telling you now. This is not, Doctor Who's future is not sewn up already, right? It's not decided. And anybody talking and saying the opposite is lying. And they are lying, right? Because RTD already proved them to be liars anyway. But this article confounds it for me. It doesn't actually shed any light on Doctor Who's future in any way whatsoever, right? And they're selling off merchandise, right? And you've seen some of the things that I've mentioned, a weeping angel, costumes and all. These are actually good stuff. It looks like that they're auctioning 150 items, like. And as I said yesterday, it seems to me that these guys at the BBC and everybody behind are cavalier about Doctor Who's history, because that's what they're selling. They're selling Doctor Who's history. Now, PD did make the point, and I will make the point on here. He said that maybe they're not main props, and these could have been secondary props and all of this other stuff. That's fine, but still history to me. It's still part of the show. They were molded and made for the show, right? You know what? you know me, I don't agree with Mr. Tardis very often, right? But he did a video on this whole topic he did where he discussed about all of this prop stuff being in the museum. And I absolutely agree with that 100%. This shouldn't be getting sold, right? And I know they whack children in need on it because if anybody complains, then they're a prick. Well, it's for a special cause. They know exactly what they're doing. I see it for what it is, right? And I think a lot of you in the chat see it for what it is. It's to me, it's a race in Doctor Who history. And I'm gonna say this as well, it's a word I hate, but it's true. I think Cinnamon brought it up. Only the privileged fans or fans with a decent bit of money are going to be able to afford these things at the auction, which means that millions of fans out there are not going to be able to gain access to. See, I wouldn't mind if all of this shit actually went to genuine fans, but we know that won't be the case. You'll have collectors, you'll have even scalpers, you'll even have people that will buy this shit just to flog it for 3 times the price on fucking eBay. And to me, it's like a race in Doctor Who history, right? And I don't get it. They, on one hand, they say that they love the show and all of this, they wanted to succeed, but their actions, to me, say something completely different. Now, I see Real Super Doctor is in the chat and Cinnamon is in the chat. I'm going to go for another 15 minutes, but do you two guys want to come on and give you our 2 cents on this topic while you are in here in the chat? Now, I have to fly off straight after this stream because I fucking, the other night, I stayed on behind the scenes when I shouldn't have been staying on behind the scenes. We end up chatting for 2.5 hours or something. So I can't do that now, but I could bring people on. So do you want to come on, Super Doctor? I haven't had you on in a while. Do you want to come on? If you want to come on, let me know and I'll send you an email there now. Or what I'll do is I'll just put the link in there because nobody else is coming on anyway. I'm only bringing on regulars, right? So anybody tries that trick again, sure, they're just getting removed. So just the 2 regulars. Well, Super Doctor was a regular, but he's been busy lately. So hopefully we get John back on again because I do miss having John on, I have to say. If you're still listening, John, it'd just be great having you on. We should do more Titanic stuff anyway. There've been plenty of other, the advent of all of these so-called conspiracy theorists are repeating all the old conspiracies from back in the day, John. It's actually very funny, it is. They're still going with this thing that like Titanic was deliberately sunk and all of this other bullshit, man. It's gas shit that's been debunked like years ago. Even these new moon fakers, right, are out in force now. Like it's like as if we never discussed any of this shit back in the day, but now they're all the bringers. Oh, look at this! I'm going to show you evidence that nobody's ever seen. Yeah, I saw about 12 years ago. Shut the fuck. Funnies. Funny. Some people are funnies. Well, we got one guest in the studio. I don't know if John is still with us there, but as I said, if he wants to come on. Is that really you, Cinnamon? If it's really you, if you can put your camera on there just for a second and then knock it off behind the scenes there. I could see it. Yeah, it is you. Good. Just double caution. Anyway, here he is.
It's really interesting you said about the Titanic, because I did hear about that before. This big conspiracy that what was it? Let me just remember. I'll tell you. Like, the Titanic was damaged, and they swapped the names, and so really the Olympic was the Titanic, and the Titanic was the Olympic, and it was some massive, big insurance scam that like no one ever found out about, and they managed to keep thousands and thousands, probably hundreds and hundreds of workers never said anything.
Here's the gas thing. Do you know who started? Do you know who started the swap rumor? An Irish man.
You wrote a
An
book about it.
Irishman. I think his name was Paddy the Pig or something like that was his nickname. It was an Irishman, but it was proven by Harland and Wolff because he sent the sub down because on the propellers they had the actual numbers and the
Yeah.
propellers were made specifically for each ship. You couldn't just swap propellers.
Yeah,
That's not how they did them back then.
something, wasn't it? 4-0 something.
And Titanic is under the water, like, but it wasn't deliberately sunk either. The evidence now that we have suggests, and we already know that there was a fire on board Titanic. Yeah. What people don't know is the severity of that fire, and while they were doing the sea trials, the fire was still going on. A photograph that was recently found up in someone's attic by his daughter. Some daughter fucking found the photograph, and it shows a photograph of the Titanic a day before it leaves, and there's this. It's smudge. The clearest photograph. There's this this big huge fucking smudge, and it goes right along the line where the fucking Titanic was hit by the iceberg. The fire was still now. Obviously, that wouldn't happen nowadays. If there was a fire on the ship, they wouldn't be still letting passengers on. But in 1912, it was a different fucking story, and they needed the ship to go because these were their big main ships. There was 3 of them, as you know, the Olympic, the Titanic, and the Britannic. Right, so a lot was riding on those 3 ships. Right, so Olympic had already gotten into an accident. So the insurance for that was going to be, remember, they crashed into a Navy ship or something like that, right? So then you had Titanic had to launch on schedule and it had to go into New York on time. That's why they sped up as well, like to try to get in that extra few hours early, like because it would have been a big deal. But look,
that's something that the films didn't get wrong though as well, because the proof is made. They try and like painting it as like he's some sort of mustache twirling villain, and it wasn't really. It was more of a suggestion, but it wasn't like in the films where he's pressuring the captain to speed up, and a lot of people still look quite badly on him.
I know. I've watched loads of that, and I actually watched the documentary on Bruce Ismay. Look, there's a few people mentioned throughout the history of the ship, and obviously it's not good looking for them. But it was it was a lot more complex, and what there was, even him getting on the ship or getting on the lifeboat. He grabbed the child or whatever. But the bottom line is that when you analyze it, all of the people that were connected to the ship went down with the ship. He was the only one that could actually.
People just think he tried to save. He did save other people, according to I think testimony.
Yeah, he did. He did. He did save people. But the reason why he obviously wanted to, because he knew there was going to be tribunals anyway, right? His behavior after the fact, though, does leave a lot to be answered for, because he did lock all the staff away and till everybody got their stories straight. He knew he was going to be painted as a villain, and I think
it was in a rush to get back to England because he was being like trialed, wasn't he, by like Americans, and he was like, "Well, I should be in my own country," sort of thing. I think, but yeah. But I think that's why they turned the boat to the other side so people wouldn't see in Southampton. Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Right, on to this article. Obviously, I put it in our chat. I don't know if you actually read it, but I read all the relevant stuff because then they go on about the auction, which they don't continue then. But if you were to read that headline, you would go in thinking, okay, we're going to get a greater understanding, or at least
I'd go into it thinking I'm going to get a greater understanding. I'd come out thinking I've wasted my time because it was a complete non-article, wasn't it? It was like, what? Oh, it's all just talking about love. It's like that episode of Jodie, when she gives a speech. Oh, love is love, and love just binds us all together because love is special. Love. Talk about loving our fans, and every fan has their doctor. No, answer the question. You answered ask a simple question. What's the future of Doctor Who look like, and with this Disney deal, or what have you? No, we were just going to talk about love. It's a complete non-answer. Let me just look back at my comment. I think what did I put? Let me just.
No problem. Go ahead. But guys, yeah, give us our opinion yourselves. As I said, I will put the article in the link description a little bit later, and I'll put it in the comment section as well, just in case you don't see it in the link description, because some people still don't know where the link description is on YouTube. So I'll put it in the comment section as well, right? And go and read the article, and then give me your opinion on it as well, because I'm telling you now, if you don't have to be, look, if I wasn't doing Doctor Who news or covering shit on Doctor Who, right, and I came across this article, say as just a sci-fi fan, right, and I was curious to see if what the future of Doctor Who was, right. After reading that article, I'd be coming out and saying, well, I don't know what the fuck is going on with this show. Like, that's the point.
It said, like, celebrate how we love the show. That's what I was looking for. I put, except they don't celebrate how we love the show. What does that even mean anyway? It's a nonsense. It's just words put together, because they don't about celebrating the show. Well, they don't seem to love the fact how we celebrate the show, or how we would like it to be. Not that I want it to be my way only, but you know, this idea that it's all of the fans. Well, it seems that it's very cherry picked group of fans, and the rest aren't welcome. But it's just a bit of a waste of a time, really. It's a lot of clickbait. It's the same with Scream Rant. You know, I've been catching up on a lot of Rabbi's streams, and it's just, you can just tell they're just paid to throw articles out. Like, what was it? It's stupid articles, just like top 10 theories. Top 10 theories on Scream Rant, and you just put that article out there just to be paid, haven't you? Paid by the word. It was something like Rory is the master.
No, because you know yourself. You read that headline, right? There'll be Doctor Who tubers out there, wink, wink, that will like get that headline, right, and just run with the headline, not actually read the article and what actually said. That's why I wanted to do it and actually read it out to you, and it'll be in the link description. It's not a fake article; it's a proper, real article from Radio Times, right? But this is how we're supposed to do it, right? Let fans know. But look, I could definitely tell you, my point of view is that they're clueless right now, and it is a non-article. It actually presents more questions than answers, to be quite honest with you. Which, look, even during the Jodie era, right, and Cinnamon will be proof to this as well, because we all saw it. These are all proof to it. We got a lot of nonsense articles, we did, right? But after Series 1 it went bad, right? Obviously there was rumours swirling about and all of this, chaos in Cardiff and all of this, right? But the journalists were pretty much nailed on when they said, "Oh no, Doctor Who will have a second season." Like, it was like there was no doubt.
It was never in doubt, was it? It was never questioned.
That's what I mean.
You know,
no matter what anybody was saying, including myself, chaos in Cardiff did look like it could have been the end of the fucking road for it. But as I said again on another stream, then when I followed up on this, is that they all got together and had a meeting, and the exact words were back in the day, and I remember they all sat down, had a meeting, they sang Kumbaya, sorted out their differences, and then we went on for Series 2. Like, so this is the thing. We knew with Whittaker that she was getting that second series, right? And then as soon as the second series was done, sure, they confirmed the third series anyway. So we just didn't, our fans didn't know at the time that it was going to be bye Miss Whittaker and Chibby's. But these articles now are just all nonsense. There's nothing, as you said. It's like, we need you to talk about Doctor Who, right? It's just like someone in BBC, we need you to talk about Doctor Who. Just pull up any old shite and just talk about it.
Keep it relevant for a week.
Right. I've even seen like articles out there talking about, you know, things that they've done in the show, and throw articles up. David Tennant, you know, journalists then giving their opinion. This is how you can fix this, that, and the other, and all of this, because it's all about fixing Doctor Who, apparently. But that's the type of shit that you're getting. You're not getting anything of substance right now. So
nothing juicy, is it?
So, look, my opinion is just this. I'm not saying Doctor Who is cancelled, right? But if I'm weighing up all the evidence, including Bad Wolf Studios post as well, by the way, we can't forget that because they did speak about Doctor Who in the past tense. And I know people have tried to spin that and say, well, they said, yeah, because Doctor Who was filmed there. But that's not the way it's coming across to people. You might interpret it that way, but a lot of other people interpret it the other way. They're talking about it in the past tense, which means there must be something going on, right? So you got that, and you've got this article, and then this article from Radio Times has obviously spanned other articles from other outlets claiming that the show's future is secure and all of this other fucking nonsense. Where when you read the article, it doesn't give you anything on Doctor Who's future except that it'll be in that was my favourite line though, because that proves to me there's something going on. It'll always be in when asked about is Doctor. It'll always be in fans' hearts and minds. Like what a way to answer a question. Like you could even say as one of the executive producers, right now. As you all know, the news
when, like, a family member
the
dies,
third season hasn't been commissioned, but we're very hopeful that a third series would be commissioned. That's the way you would answer it, just to give fans a bit of positivity. You wouldn't be going around saying, "Oh, it'll be in heart." It doesn't matter. It's been around for 60 years. It'll be in fans' hearts and minds for a long time. That to me suggests all is not rosy. Right? And that's just my opinion, right? I'm not saying the show's cancelled. What I'm saying is it's not looking rosy. Can Doctor Who survive without Disney? Yeah. Lower budget. Go back to the days of the lower budget. We don't give a shit. Good stories is what we care
I
about.
remember as well. What was all that about? Oh, we're doing stories that we could have done before. What's you telling me? Space Babies couldn't have been done in 2010? Really? Is it so complex? Like, I get it. Like in Boom, they had a really big LED screen that like moved in real time. So instead of it like being all done in post production, it was kind of there in real life. Okay, yeah, but like, I think a lot of people would agree that there wasn't. You saw some good budget, and you could sort of maybe tell in some moments, but it wasn't some massive like jumping visual effects.
We do know that they filmed. We do know that they filmed at certain locations, but they also use blue screen quite a lot. So I don't get all of this crap that they're coming out with. That we could do things better than we did. Of course you could. 1963 is 1963. It's decades ago. I mean, if you can't actually put out an amazing scene in 2025 or 2024 or whatever, then you're not doing your job properly.
Dot and Bubble. Apparently, that was supposed to be for series 5. It was if Russell was to come back and like if Moffat offered him to write an episode for series 5, that would have probably been it. I think if I'm getting that story right. So you're telling me that a story like Dot and Bubble, it was impossible to make in 2010? It's not that particularly complex.
It wouldn't have been that possible to make in 2010. Obviously, the CGI and the stuff that they would have probably used back in the day,
I mean, come on,
would have been different to what they could use now because the technology is brilliant. Let's be honest. I mean, it does give Doctor Who a visual look that it's never had before. But I'm not interested in a visual look. I don't care if there's not scenes that you can't do. All I just want is a good fucking story with character development, the Doctor living on the fucking edge, saving planets and universes, right? Saving his companions if he has to. I know that's getting a bit old as well. I wish the companions he picked up were actually fucking just as brainy as him for a change, because to be honest with you, it's getting very fucking tiring. Damsel in distress thing and all of this love shite that they want to do as well. Everybody's in love with each other now. Notice that everybody is lovey-dovey. That's not reality of the situation. Like, do you know what I mean? I want me Doctor to have a bit of an edge. I want me companions to have a bit of an edge. I want me stories to be absolutely well written. We're not asking for much here. Fuck the CGI and I mean the visuals. Right? Instead of pumping all the money into the visuals anyway, what RTD should have done, and I'm sorry to say this, RTD, instead of pumping the money making the show look absolutely wonderful, which it does, and I will never knock that. You've done a great job on the visuals. Whip-de-doo that fucking day. The quality of the writing has dipped. So maybe what should have happened was the money that you used for the visuals, or at least half of that budget, should have been used on bringing in the best writers that you could possibly find, instead of a bunch of activists. And I mean, you've really lowered your standards bringing in Juno Dawson, right? And I'm not just talking about the books, right? What's Juno Dawson's CV like? What has Juno Dawson done that has been critically acclaimed that isn't writing books? What has Juno Dawson that's critically acclaimed that isn't the sex books that they do?
It's all like people, all the screenwriting, all screenplay experience, and what she's done is redacted.
Nothing. But the answer is nothing, right? The answer is nothing. They weren't critically acclaimed for Redacted, by the way, right? They were critically acclaimed for the books that they do, the smut books, right? But when it comes to actually writing for TV, what are they critically acclaimed for? Nothing. Zero. So how does RTD make that decision that Juno is one of the is good enough to write for Doctor Who? Right? To me and to other Doctor Who fans, writing those books and doing Redacted does not qualify you to write for Doctor Who. I would actually, and listen, the great thing about this whole thing with Juno Dawson is it's not just fans like me that have a problem. I've seen fans with pride flags in their bios, right? Gay men, especially, that are in this fandom, that are absolutely disgusted by Juno Dawson because of the comments that Juno Dawson made about gay men just being gay as a consolation prize. Right? Okay? So we're not the only ones having a go at Juno here, because that's been suggested that I'm attacking writers and all of this. Not attacking. I'm calling it out for what it is. Juno was brought in for activism. Right? The fella from Nigeria was brought in for activism. Pete McTeague also, right? He's speaking about the LGBT plus and how the dangers they're facing and all of this shit. So that's what he's being brought in for, because he's now submitted to RTD as well, right? And as you have all heard, I did a little short video last night. RTD has announced a new show with Channel 4 Tiptoe, because, and it's about the LGBTQ plus community, about the dangers that they face today and all of this other shit. Also, on top of that, he's been banging on his Instagram account how they have to fight back against the enemy, right? And he needs to use things to fight back against the enemy. Well, that works both ways, RTD. See, here's the thing, right? I don't really care what your beliefs are or what you subscribe to, right? The issue here is, and again, with your show, you're going to actually not address what the real issue is here. Nobody has an issue with the LGB community. It's the TQ plus. The TQ plus. Now, why do I say the TQ plus? Well, the TQ plus are determined to expose our children to those Juno Dawson books. They also want to expose them to, we have this junior pride bollocks, right? Okay. Do you want to expose them to drag shows, right? Now, for me, drag entertainment is different than panto, because you have some gobshites on the left that will bring up the fact that the kids go to panto. Well, panto is different. You're not having all of these gobshites twerking in front of the kids and getting the kids to shove money in their dresses, right? Which we've seen plenty of videos on X, so anybody denies that. There's plenty of evidence on social media.
I don't know what you call it, a G-string or some sort of very, very small, tight thong. And it was like walking with a child around the room. It's like, with a bare ass thing. That's not
right. So that's where we have the problem. And the homophobia is actually coming from the TQ plus, not from anybody else in society. Now, if there is pushback in society, there's pushback because they see the dangers that some of these things are having the impact that it's having on children. And you know, some of us are logical and some of us have smarts about us, and some of us have a moral fucking compass, and some of us don't want their kids to be exposed to all of that, right? We want them to grow up and be actually kids, and then when they're old enough to learn about the birds and the bees and everything else, then they're old enough to learn. But they're not old enough to learn at 12 years of age, right? Or younger than 12 years of age. I'd even go as far as to say, listen, I was 16, right? When I was obviously, I learned a little bit through, you know, bits and pieces in school, because like they didn't go too much back in the day in school when they were teaching kind of sex ed. But I knew the basics anyway at 16, right? That was good enough for me then to move on and to make mature decisions, blah, blah, blah. And know, you know, not to be stupid and to be safe and all of this. You don't be talking about that shit to a 12-year-old or 11-year-old, 10-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, so on and so on, like these gobshites think is acceptable. It's not acceptable, right? So that's why there's a pushback. There's not a pushback against the community, the LGB, as I said, but the homophobia is definitely coming from the TQ+. It's not coming from wider society. Wider society just doesn't want their kids to be trans, right? Bottom line, I don't care how that comes across. That's the truth. A lot of people out there don't subscribe to that ideology. End of story. Anyway, look, the missus is back, and I did promise, like, you know, it's Saturday, so we're going to do stuff and stuff. So I'm going to leave it there. But look, Doctor Who's future is not a given right now, and I would urge you all to go and read that Radio Times article. I'll give you the headline. I will put it in, as I said, the link description and the comment section. But just to remind you, it's BBC Studios on the future and priorities for Doctor Who brand, right? Read it for yourselves, okay? And you will see what me and Cinnamon have seen here. It's all smoke and mirrors. There's not actually any information on Doctor Who's future, and it actually asks more questions than answers. So, yeah, interesting. But look, I'll keep you informed anyway if there's anything else. You know, you have seen I've been doing the music videos and all of that as well. Not doing as many as I did before, doing some pictures as well, and I'll throw them up. So keep a lookout for streams, because as I said, I will be around and keeping the channel going, as I said. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I will talk to you very soon after I get less Cinnamon do his shout. Oh, I totally forgot that I had someone on. See that? The brain just whew. Cinnamon, do your shout out so we can head off, and I'll talk to you all in the chat very soon, guys. Go ahead, Cinnamon.
Well, yeah, as you know, been making all sorts of different content. Probably got a video that'll probably be uploaded later. Yeah. So, yep. If you want any sort of anything to hear anything from me, then Cinnamon Toast Crunch on YouTube and on X.
Fantastic. And yeah, well, I might do a stream after tomorrow night or something. Might do that Christmas special tomorrow night. I have to get it done and over with, so I might do it tomorrow night. So look out for that. I might do the traditional watch along where I'm on camera, because to be quite honest with you, you know, what's the point? You will hear me opinion anyway as I'm watching. It's not going to make a difference whether you can see me face or not, because, like, you know, it's not going to add that, and I'm probably going to be sitting there stony faced anyway. Right, have a good one. I'll talk to you all soon. And don't forget to subscribe to all the other channels that we normally put in the chat. But I've started early, and PD is probably busy, or, you know, so he's normally here, but I'm doing streams at different fucking times, so it's hard to keep up. Anyway, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.